Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us on this edition of the 6 p.m. primetime newscast on Equinoxe Television, live from our headquarters in Cameroon's economic capital, Douala. I am Babla Jonathan. In our top stories in this edition of the news, right groups are mounting pressure on Cameroonian authorities to release Barrister Nicodemus Amungwa, one of the lawyers defending detained Anglophone leaders Sisiku Ayuktabe and co. Human Rights Watch said he was arbitrarily arrested and is being detained on bogus charges of terrorism. And the United States of America announces travel restrictions for persons found guilty of contributing to worsen the security situation in the northwest and southwest regions of Cameroon. Stay with us. At least 20 persons accused of involvement in violence in Cameroon's economic capital, Douala, have been arrested by officers of the National Gendarmerie and the police force. The fight against insecurity in the town of Douala is intensifying. Immaculate Fokwe has more.
On the night of May 31st, 2021, systematic raids were carried out by young boys called Lemikrop in Bangapongo, Douala 3 subdivision. With the aid of weapons such as machetes, knives, blades and sticks, they were able to scare their victims and later seizing all what they had on them. They equally burgled several shops and houses in the neighborhood. A victim recounts his experience.
At around 3 o'clock on the 31st of this month, I was surprised in my place by the number of motormen, about 40 of them in number, that they came to my place. They forced my door, they entered in, they molested me until I even lost my position where I was on that very night. They entered inside my room, they took everything. After tortured me, they took all seven motorcycles.
Elements of the Bangapongo Gendarmerie Brigade, under the command of Warrant Officer Martial Fuda Kunu, were able to get hold of 8 boys. The operation was supervised by Captain Modeste Dacier, Douala 2 Company Commander.
De 31, nous avions eu l'information qu'il y avait un groupe d'une trentaine d'individus dans un parking qui tentaient de piller. Ils étaient armés de machettes et de gourdins. Aussitôt, j'ai appelé mon chef de poste de Mbangapongo et je lui ai demandé de se déployer immédiatement sur les lieux avec son personnel. Il s'est donc avancé et il était 3 heures. Et quand nous sommes arrivés, on a constaté qu'ils avaient pillé le parking et une boutique de brocante qui se trouvait à côté. Grâce au renseignement des populations, jusqu'au petit matin, on avait pu interpeller 8.
In the course of the operation, the security elements were able to retrieve several motorcycles, a flat-screen TV, and other electrical equipment.
I recognized my TV that they took it, and I even caught it right-handed to the person that collected them in my store. Even those amplifiers, I have them like that, 10 of them. I still recognize 2 of them. The first person that entered my room and give the rules and give the rooms to the others to also enter and collect goods. That's him inside the Wishoneka.
It should be noted that the Bangapongo Gendarmerie Brigade was able to achieve this operation within 3 months of existence. 5 other boys, believed to be members of the Microbe gang, were equally intercepted in the New Bell neighborhood by elements of the Kulu Gendarmerie Brigade under the command of Warrant Officer Zambu. The operation was supervised by the company commander of Douala 1, Babila Lantio. Another group of 7 armed men belonging to the Retu gang were equally arrested yesterday in the Douala 2 subdivision by the Kulu Gendarmerie Brigade.
The phenomenon retour simply means carrying out vengeance. For example, if a boy notices that his girlfriend is dating another boy, he gathers some boys in his quarter and they go carry out vengeance by beating the accused and all those found in the neighborhood.
The fate of those arrested will be determined in the court of law. Meantime, security elements say they are bent on fishing out more of such criminals so the population of Douala can go about their activities without fear of being attacked.
In a similar story, at least 3 persons have been arrested in Kongsamba in the Mongo Division, littoral region of Cameroon, in connection to a tough operation that took away at least 1 million francs CFA from a filling station in that locality. They were arrested by the police. Smanjika Gabriel has more.
Another success recorded by elements of the Nkonsamba Central Police Station. 3 suspects alleged to be causing havoc to inhabitants of Nkonsamba in the Mongo Division have been stopped by police officers. It was at about 2 a.m. in the morning that the patrol team, led by Police Commissioner Byunga, discovered that a filling station has been attacked and a worker tied down. I was informed, and by the side of a nightclub at a dark end, I saw a motorbike. In the course of my search, I discovered bottles of sweet drinks.
Un tour de la moto nous a permis de constater qu'il y avait des bouteilles de jus. Or, lors de ce braquage, des jus avaient été importés.
After their presentation at the police station, they were taken to the zone where they recently attacked. Their first stopover was at a neighborhood in Konsamba, where the suspects showed how they robbed a man of his money. Later, it was at the filling station where they took away about 1 million francs CFA and some bottles of sweet drinks. Security officers in Konsamba are calling for more collaboration from the public to eradicate the men of the underworld. When I was installed, the regional delegate of national security asked the population to collaborate so that together we can make a way with the men of the underworld.
Nous comptons beaucoup sur la coopération de la population. Je dois avouer que jusqu'à présent, les populations commencent déjà à nous faire entièrement confiance.
Police officers seized from the 3 suspects a handbag, bottles of sweet drinks, some money, cell phones, and daggers.
Now to the northwest and southwest regions of the Republic of Cameroon, where insecurity has been reigning for close to 5 years now, since the Anglophone crisis started in late 2016. And it has brought a lot of consequences on enterprises and the economy of the 2 regions and the country at large. Derek Jato in the report coming up next takes a look at the consequences of the crisis on one of the giant companies in the southwest region, Pamo Plantations, and the general manager of that company explains the destruction of private oil mills around the Lobe estate of the plantations in the Kondo Titi Njan Division, southwest region of the Republic of Cameroon.
Pamol is increasingly losing big to separatist fighters.
In the month of May 2018, Pamol was forced to shut down because the level of violence, the level of attack on her workers and her facilities had really gone to a record high. On 5th September 2019, management led by my predecessor managed to galvanize the workers, and they braved the insecurity and decided to start operations in Bulu. Slowly, it progressed But since then, even up till now, that particular plantation is not operating up to 45–50% of its capacity.
And the activities of this armed group is also creating a rift between palm oil and small-scale holder farmers.
Because of insecurity, workers cannot go into the fields. But we find that behind the scenes, crop is being harvested, crop is being transported, crop harvested from the palm oil fields, and it finds itself in these artisanal mills where the crop is milled and the produce is sold. So this was interpreted as, oh, so these non-state armed groups are attacking the company to create a situation of a takeover.
The trade is everywhere, and lives too are being lost.
It got to a climax when on the 20th of May at Bulu, Central Camp, or Center Division, you know, they have many divisions within the plantation. Reports made us that 2 palm oil workers had been slaughtered in broad daylight. They were in the process of recovering stolen crop. So the thieves ambushed them and shot these 2 workers dead.
And the government of Cameroon, through the senior divisional officer from Njan Division, took action for stability.
The administration couldn't take it anymore. So they thought that it was time for a decision to be taken to protect the state companies and even the smallholders who operate on an official capacity. So the military and the rest of the force of law and order received a circular from the senior divisional officer that was proscribing the operation of all artisanal mills within Njan Division.
But something went wrong.
The military went in there and started executing. So we came back, and the information we got from Lobe is that all is not going rightly there as far as the execution of that communique is concerned. We heard that mills were being burned. It hit us very hard and we were concerned. The SU2 was quick to react, suspended the operation, and gave them a certain period to mill out.
Human rights organizations continue demanding the liberation of Barrister Amungwa Nicodemus, one of the lawyers defending detained Anglophone leader Sisiku Ayuktabe and co. He was arrested and is being detained in the nation's political capital, Yaoundé. Human Rights Watch says his arrest was arbitrary and that he's been detained on bogus charges of terrorism. For me, Armstrong Sander has more.
Of June 7, 2021, the international rights group Human Rights Watch called on Cameroonian authorities to immediately release human rights lawyer Barrister Amungwa Nicodemus. It says the legal man is being detained on bogus charges of inciting terrorism at the State Defense Secretariat, popularly known in its French acronym as SAID. The detention facility, Human Rights Watch says, has featured in several of its reports for repeated incommunicado detentions and torture. The rights group cited Barrister Amungwa's lawyer, Barrister Ayuk Otang Ndeb Nkongo, who says Amungwa's arrest is a direct attack on the legal profession. He goes further to state that the detention is arbitrary and reveals a system geared towards stifling and undermining the role and activities of lawyers involved in key human rights cases in Cameroon. On a flashback, citing his lawyer, Human Rights Watch wrote that gendarmes arrested Barrister Amungwa on May 30, 2021 in Yaoundé after Amungwa complained that Cameroon's criminal procedure had been breached in his client's case. His phone was seized without a warrant under claims that he had taken photographs of the gendarmerie facility without permission. While searching for the alleged photograph, the gendarme found other photographs that recorded alleged military abuses in Cameroon's Anglophone regions and arrested Barrister Amungwa Nicodemus. Human Rights Watch says Amungwa's detention takes place amid a broader crackdown in Cameroon on opposition and dissents. Amungwa, according to Human Rights Watch, is one of dozens of government critics, human rights defenders and journalists arrested in recent years.
And the United States of America announces visa restrictions for those undermining the peaceful resolution of the crisis in the northwest and southwest regions of the Republic of Cameroon. In a statement, the U.S. Department of State says the country is deeply concerned by the continued violence in the Anglophone regions of Cameroon, and it indicates that they continue to call for both the Cameroonian government and separatist armed groups to end the violence and engage in dialogue without preconditions. Now we're going to try to answer the question as to how far this can go to drive the two English-speaking regions in crisis for close to 5 years today towards a return to peace and normalcy. That will be in the second segment of this edition of the 6 p.m. newscast on Equinoxe Television. Time for us to bring to you updates on the practical phase of the General Certificate of Education, GCE Technical, and the Baccalaureate examinations in the English and French subsystems of education in the Republic of Cameroon. We now take you to some schools here in Cameroon's economic capital, Douala, with Charles Ekome.
Than 200,000 candidates have answered present for the 2020-2021 session of the baccalaureate examinations and general certificate examinations across the national territory. At the government bilingual high school in Dokpasi, in the Douala 3 subdivision, there is total silence as the principal of the institution, Nathalie Mouen, is conducting a final inspection before the candidates can begin the very first session of this academic year's general examination.
Pour le moment, tout est sous contrôle.
We welcomed the candidates in the morning and recorded no difficulty while doing so. We have 859 registered candidates.
859 candidats inscrits régulièrement.
In the classrooms during the examination, total concentration is being observed by the students whose daily agenda involves writing literature, philosophy, French language, and information technology. A very first day which has begun smoothly at the institution despite a few absences.
At
the moment, we have 6 absentees out of 859 registered candidates.
At the government bilingual high school Bobongo, still in the Douala 3 subdivision, the atmosphere is calm, depicting a conducive examination environment. Our science students from the Anglophone educational system are doing their practical session of their examinations. In the laboratories where the exams are being conducted, students are seen showcasing their scientific skills. A satisfactory day for the principal of the institution, Chumi Jafang.
Nous avons sur les 882 candidats qui présentent le baccalauréat.
We have 882 registered candidates taking the baccalaureate examinations, and out of these total, only 4 students are absent. It is satisfactory for a start. When it comes to the GCE examinations, all students were present.
Au GCE, tous les candidats programmés pour ce jour sont jusque-là présents.
According to these educationists, it's a positive first day of examinations, and they hope the rest of the session remains the same. However, the sole objective for these candidates on their part is to make good results, most definitely in flying colors.
Economic and digital stakeholders are now striving to step up efforts to distinguish Cameroon-made products from contraband goods, and this was the focal point of a meeting today here in Cameroon's economic capital, Douala. And during the conference held here in the city of Douala, the stakeholders were sensitized, economic stakeholders were sensitized on the importance of making their products stand out from others using the registration code 617 And this will enable consumers better identify who the producer is and where the products are coming from. The company GSI Cameroon has decided to make the procedure easy for those stakeholders. Now, greater details in this extract.
Today was the purpose was really to make the people aware about the barcode 617, which is the barcode we try to promote to really make the Made in Cameroon visible. The idea is really to take all the stakeholders away about that barcode and to see how the hard value behind that barcode. In instance, with the barcode really standard of GS1, you are able to identify the manufacturer behind that barcode, all the information about the contact, also the information about that item.
The goal here of GS1 Cameroon is to promote the Made in Cameroon, the promote product of Cameroonian, and to assume the consumer that the product they want to buy are really made by Cameroonian. And GS1 Cameroon can also give other service like identification of product, traceability of this product, and the digitalization. By digitalization, we mean they take information of the product of this product and promote it to attain the visibility of this product. Yes, is that the main goal of GS1 Cameroon.
And that is it for the first part of this newscast. Talking Point is up next. Today we are receiving Barrister Neneba Innocent Akufo, attorney and counselor at law in New York, United States of America, human rights defender and major proponent of decolonization. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you so much, Mr. Babila. Always a great pleasure being on Equinoxe. Absolutely enjoy it.
We are equally receiving a Cameroonian civil society activist, Padia Sanga, joining us from Hamburg in Germany. Padia, you're welcome.
Babila, thank you for having me, and I'm very, very grateful that you are bringing me and my brother, Barrister Anene Innocent. You hear the name Innocent, to discuss on pertinent issues that affect our country. And I want to encourage you people, amidst everything that is happening in Cameroon, stay strong, because we cannot stay here and keep our tongues or put, what would I say, steal our tongues while you people are taking the hit. And you just planted a declaration by saying that human rights abuses, a barrister is incarcerated, they took his phone and all those type of things. These are issues that are unacceptable in a country that says it is democratic. If you take my phone today, you would see all sorts of information incriminating the government, incriminating the separatists, incriminating the French government, or incriminating Emmanuel Macron. But I don't know if where I would be situated if I find myself in such a situation. So Barrister will plan the declaration, and I'll come in to tell you exactly what I know, and I will speed it as it is as an Abka boy. Thank you for having me.
Right, before we talk about the arrest and detention of Barrister Nicodemus Amungwa, one of the lawyers defending detained Anglophone leaders, Isiku Ayoktabe and co. Let's take a look at these statements contained in the report of the United Nations Secretary General in the UN Security Council. And concerning Cameroon, that report said, notwithstanding several initiatives, no progress was made on continuing political dialogue to achieve a durable solution to the unrest in the northwest and southwest regions of the Republic of Cameroon. Barrister Neneba, your reaction to this?
Yes, Mr. Babila, the thing is, if you are dipping your hands into an endless pit, you always come out empty. Or if you're moving from nowhere to nowhere, you arrive nowhere. That's exactly what all this thing has been premised on. You know, when they had the national dialogue trying to bring people together to find a solution to the existing problems within the two Cameroons, the Southern Cameroons and the Republic of Cameroon, they paraded everything, brought people from abroad, you know, met all the big news organizations, you know, and made it sound as if this is the best of it. But it was just a show. It was just nonchalant. It was something that from its design, you knew it was going to fail. And all this parade that these people do all the time, it is fooling people, killing Cameroonians. They deal in slogans as bootleggers deal in fake spirits. And the more innocent the customer, the more easily they are easily sold into slogans like democracy, progress, justice, and peace, which in the end, it doesn't lead us to anywhere. You know, I've told you many times, time and time again, that we cannot be letting the United Nations or foreign powers come knocking on our doors every day and telling you what to do when you absolutely know what to do. You know, if you can define what system of government you're running in Cameroon or in the Cameroons, then you will know exactly where you are. I think we are running a system that's failed. We continuously try to propel it on legs that have already been broken. And that's where we are, and that's where we'll continue to be. So what the United Nations...
right, Patti Asanga, you took part in the major national dialogue. And after that meeting, lots of things have been happening. The regional elections taking place, and the putting in place of the regional institutions to accelerate the new decentralization code with the special status for the northwest and southwest regions of the country. But despite all of these, the United Nations say, notwithstanding all these initiatives, no progress was made in continuing political dialogue to achieve a sustainable solution, a return to durable normalcy and peace in those two regions.
You see, Babita, I have to be very, very honest, and I don't believe in the politics of empty chairs. And somehow, some people might accuse us that we cautioned that national dialogue, which is true, but we went there with a clear agenda, with the restoration of institutions that we took away from Nigeria and brought to Cameroon until 1972. And coming out of that national dialogue, we had a very, very clear agenda, which was the Canadian model, because we did not want to invent the wheel, because they keep saying that la solution c'est quoi? We have a failed decentralization that they did not ignite it until the Anglophone crisis popped up. So we went to that national dialogue. Yes, we came out with solution, but the only success that I and those of us who were in the disarmament or de-radicalization commission is that we, through the help of Cardinal Toumi, we have to guarantee the fact that the lives of those boys and girls who were coming out of those bushes were not going to be killed. And that's why you saw people like Success Congo, Nambere, Clovis, and all those who left the bushes came, and they are still alive. But if it comes to the part of the government is pregnant with bad faith. And that is why I will always say it out, and I will speak it as it is, because we have this peculiarity, and that is what has made Canada what it is today, that Canada and Cameroon, they have this bijural and bicultural, in quotes, system, where you have Francophones and Anglophones. But the reverse is true. In Canada, the Francophones are the minority, and in Cameroon, the Anglophones are the minority. So we can adopt that system, and then we come out with something that reflects who we are with our own identity. That's why I don't want to play partisan politics here, because you know that I have been schooled in a political school of thought, but I'm saying that that is what is good for the Cameroonians, and that is what is good for Anglophone Cameroonians. So
that to happen, Patti Asanga, there must be a return to peace and normalcy for all those or what you're saying now to be put in place, for that form of state to be put in place, if at all the Cameroon government authorities ever come to accept such proposals. And there have been calls for inclusive dialogue, peace and reconciliation, and one of the persons who made this call recently was the Secretary of State of the Holy See. That was on January 31st, 2021, and that was during a meeting in Bamenda, notably during Mass in Bamenda in the Northwest region. And he called for inclusive dialogue, peace, and reconciliation. But all these seem not to be coming anytime soon.
Listen, Babila. There are two people who are pregnant with this spirit of intolerance, violence, brutality, and colonization. When you look at the DNA of the Jacobinist government in Cameroon, it has the hallmark of a violent post-colonial activities, beheading of people, killing people, harassing people, torturing and kidnapping dissident voices, and so on and so forth. When you look at the other people who call themselves the neo-liberators, they have the same fingerprints. They've just copied what the French under Ahidjo did and then passed it on to Boya, and that's what our people are having now. So I understand the international community when they are calling on both sides, but those both sides don't represent the majority of Cameroonians, and those who call themselves Ambazonians, who are Cameroonians, they don't represent Anglophones, because I don't think that they represent Barrister who is sitting here, or they represent me, or they represent the Catholic Church and Cardinal Toumi, whom they went and kidnapped and accelerated his death. So we must say these things the way they are. I would want to let you.
I'll come back to you in a short while. Barrister Aneneba Innocent Nakufo, do you think that inclusive dialogue and reconciliation can open the way to a return to peace and normalcy in those two regions?
Yeah, yes, Mr. Babila, if there is inclusive dialogue, the way it's supposed to be, designed the way it's supposed to be, not the way from the perspective of a selective minority, then it would never work. You understand? Because if you seek, I go with the school of Stephen Spender. You know, if you seek truth and justice and not politics and privilege, you will build a better society. What these people are doing, they want power, they want privilege, they don't want justice, they don't want truth. Because if that's what they wanted from the get-go, you have realized that the design of the inclusive dialogue that they did sometimes last year was absolutely going to be a failure. So, and this is the problem with a decaying society, and which comes back to devour itself. If you look at the end stages of capitalism, Marx absolutely said it. You know, the very structures that you've built, the very institutions that you've built, they tend to cannibalize themselves, and that's the end stage of cannibalism. That's the end stage of capitalism, and that's exactly what's going to happen with Cameroon, what they're trying to do, because you cannot be moving the goalpost every time you're trying to do one thing, you move it, you show it until the end, you're not doing anything. So if the prelate came from Rome saying it should be an inclusive dialogue, yes, it should be. There are sane Cameroonians, there's sane Southern Cameroonians. I don't know how you call them, whether you call them Ambazonians or Southern Cameroonians, or how you call them, or Eastern Cameroonians or West Cameroonians. These are people within a particular enclave where they want peace, they want justice, and they want opportunities for generations for tomorrow. You cannot leave this land to a select few people who've decided to coin authoritative laws that tend to devour each other. You know, people cannot progress from where they are because the state is a state of terror. So no matter
the U.S. Department of State says it is deeply concerned with the continuous violence in those two regions and has announced visa restrictions for those it qualifies as those undermining the peaceful resolution of the crisis in the northwest and southwest regions of the country. No further precisions on names of either government authorities or non-state armed group fighters and leaders. Do you think that this can go a long way, or better still, how far can it go to drive the two regions to peace and normalcy?
I think it's a right step towards the right direction. Again, as I said, you don't want the West to be telling you what to do when you can do the right thing. I am that person who really doesn't want somebody to come knocking my door and telling me inside my house what to do. But if you read inverted totalitarianism by Sidney Sheldon, you understand why the West comes to Cameroon and tell them what to do. Because this is a failed democracy. It's an inverted democracy, which is quite different. It is democracy incorporated, which is different from what classic democracy is. And if that's the situation, then anyone can come. China can come tomorrow and knock the door and say, please, you have to do it this way. The French will come knock the door and say, you have to do it this way. You don't have to find yourself in that situation. So if Representative Hirsch, a Republican from Iowa, is telling the Foreign Relations Committee, because he's a ranking member of that committee, is telling Cameroon that this is what they need to do, then they better toe the line. Because I told you one time that when the war in Liberia raged for decades, what happened? We don't want foreign powers to come to Cameroon and start fighting and things like that. We want Cameroonians to be able to sit down and solve it. So what happened in Liberia is what the younger Bush did. He amassed 600 Marines at the shores of Liberia. And what happened? Chancellor fled power. He left. That's not what we want for Cameroon. That's what we want for these people. We want these people to sit down and discuss these issues. That the Senate has decided to restrict this, to impose visa restrictions on some of these top officials, select few, whether it's the government or those who are fighting the government. It is a right step in the right direction, because we need peace in that enclave to sit down with sane minds and decide what's good for that country. Again, if it means you people live apart, there is nothing wrong with that. You understand? You have lived apart for
right.
For
the right step towards the right direction, according to Barrister Neneba. Padia Sanga, you seem to be agreeing with that opinion, but the question is, how far can it go to bring solutions to the people of the Northwest and Southwest regions?
You see, to be in line with my brother who's sitting on the panel with me, I am not one of those people who think that Africans should be taking injunctions from Western powers. And we have something that we call the Transatlantic Alliance. And if America is actually serious, America should select some people, maybe Emmanuel Macron, and add him on that list, because we already understand that we are ruled by governors that are handpicked by the French. So Emmanuel Macron should, Joe Biden and his administration should start by refusing visas to those people who are giving injunctions to Mr. Biya, those people who have refused to apply the resolutions of the National Dialogue, that is, restoring the institutions that we brought into the Union. Because we know that this decentralization that they are trying to push forward, it's based on the French Napoleonic system, where they say, "Ça c'est moi," comme les chefs d'État a dit. That is what the Americans should be doing, and they should stop playing this hypocrisy. One thing we also know is that, Mr. Babile, and I want to be very, very honest on this one, those people who are also responsible, who don't want peace to exist in Cameroon, they are on the American soil. What are they doing there? So they have to use their transatlantic alliances. Why America is asking France to deliver Mr. Biya and his people, ban them from traveling, refuse them visa, refuse them residence permit. France should be telling America that Eric Tator, all Chris Ano, and all those people who ask for the heads of chiefs to be chopped off, all those people who kidnapped Cardinal Toumi should be brought, and genuine Cameroonians who have their hands clean should have something to sit on the table and talk about this issue. Not people who were part of the system yesterday, and then when they left, they totally discovered that the system is not good. We are not going to accept that. My brother might not agree with me on that one, but that's a position that we held, and that will be justice for all the victims. So,
Padia Sanga, we are rounding up your opinions on the arrest and detention of Barrister Amungwa Nicodemus in some few words or sentences. I begin with you, Barrister Neneba Innocent Akufo.
Barrister Amungwa Tanyi, he's a fine lawyer. He's a legal mind. He's somebody that, I know exists in Cameroon and does the job the way a lawyer is supposed to do. there is something called attorney-client privilege. There is confidentiality between an attorney and the client, which means whatever information you gather to represent your client, the government has absolutely no reason to take you into custody to divulge that information or to testify against your client, because if you do that, then you become a witness against your client, and it goes beyond every rule of jurisprudence. If these people decided to arrest Barrister Amungwa because he was taking pictures, where is the free speech in Cameroon that you cannot stand anywhere and you take a picture of an establishment? Because if you do a Google map search, you can actually take the picture of the presidency of any gendarmerie station in Cameroon. You don't have to go there with a camera. So if they are using this as a basic pretext to arrest an attorney, it's a shame. It's a travesty of justice. These are not the people you should be arresting. I know Barrister Amungwa because he has represented people pro bono. That is without even asking for money, just because he wants to free people. These are not the people.
Padia Sanga, you have a few seconds to go.
Yes, Babila, I want to join my voice to those people who are calling for the release of Barrister Amungwa, because we also know that this culture of intimidation, inciting fear, exists in both camps. One of our young barrister, also Barrister Lenjungo Vitalis, was kidnapped by Ambazonians, and he was shot in the leg, telling them that they were the ones who started this thing, and then they left it to them, and so on and so forth. So you understand that we are dealing with a group of people, the Jacobins in Yaoundé and its so-called administration or gendarmes, who are torturing lawyers, and then we have the Ambazonians, on the other hand, who arrest their own lawyers, and the audio and the voices are out there decrying the fact that this thing is coming from a bunch of intolerant people who think that Cameroonians have to be recolonized and they have to pay allegiance. They believe in the urgency of thinking in one direction. They don't know what they call democracy. And to concur with Barrister, we Africans have to forge another way of democracy that is typically Africans, and not copy and paste, and then we find ourselves in a situation where we find ourselves. I think
civil society activist joining us from Hamburg, Barrister Aneneba Innocent Akufo, attorney and counselor at law in the New York, United States of America, and human rights defender. Thank you, gentlemen, for your time.
Always a pleasure, Mr. Babila.
Thanks, ladies and gentlemen, for staying with us. That's it for this edition of the 6 p.m. newscast on Equinoxe Television. Equinoxe War is up next.